Hi everybody, it's Sabrina. I am here to talk about my 5 big reasons for choosing to homeschool this year. I decided to homeschool last year for the first time ever, and it was a real blessing for my family. So in no order whatsoever, I'm just going to list off my 5 reasons for homeschooling. One of the biggest reasons for me to homeschool the kids is that I want to have an emphasis on family time. I found that when my kids were in public school, my husband never saw them. He's in the barn like all the time, it feels like. He comes in for lunch, he has breaks in between during the day, but he works solidly throughout the week. Weekends, we have 1 weekend per month where he actually has time to spend with as a family where he's not working. And so my daughter, who was in grade 1 or grade 2, not this last year but the year before, last year public school in grade 2, she would come home from school right as he was going in the barn. And so she would come home, we would do her homework, we would do whatever stuff that she needed, and then we would have supper at 7 o'clock in the evening, which is really late for most families. And it just, the timing schedule and everything else, and then trying to get the kids to bed on time, it wasn't a good fit for our family, for the way that my husband's work schedule was. And it was really hard to change his work schedule. So for me, homeschooling, to be able to have that time together where they can see their dad, and when he has an afternoon off, we can take an afternoon off from schooling and we can go to town together. And it's great because in winter especially, he gets more of that type of time that he can spend with us, rather than, because in summer he's always busy because you got your field work, you got your all sorts of barn stuff that needs to be done in summer that isn't as necessary in winter. So let's see. My number 2 reason for homeschooling is mornings and I don't get along very well. And so getting the kids up for school, my son also is not very good at getting up early. So it was a struggle, not last year but the year before. It was a struggle to get him up for school. We were constantly trying to push him out the door. And it was really, really hard. And also making sure like their lunches and all this stuff. I'm a fairly organized person, but even for me, it was getting to the point where it's just like, it was stressful. Mornings to get the kids off to school, for me, stressful. I'm not sure why. I like to make sure they have really healthy breakfasts in the morning, and it's harder to do that when you have such a time constraint, because the kid, like when they would get picked up from the bus, it was just the timing issue. My 3rd reason is freedom in scheduling. I like to be able to take vacations. We finally got to take one this year. We hadn't taken one prior to this in like 3.5 years. It's been a long time prior to that, our last vacation. But I like to be able to take vacations when it works for my husband and when things are cheaper. The big family, if you take vacations only when the school has time off, it's a lot more expensive. And so to be able to have that option we'll do schooling here, and then we'll take, instead of having spring break over here, we'll take a vacation over here and we'll just work through spring break. I really love that because we have the family time then. Again, it's a family, very, very family oriented. My 4th reason for homeschooling is I like to know what my kids are learning. I know that you can contact the teachers and find out and stuff like that too, but I like being part of that process. I have always loved learning. It is something that it just resounds with me. Like I really love learning about things. I'm constantly researching stuff for no reason other than to research it because, hey, why not? But I have such a love for learning in general that I'm like, I would love to know what my kids are learning too. When my daughter was in kindergarten, I'd find out because her teacher would actually write in there that they were learning about this in this letter. So I would send her snacks that had to go with the letter, and I would like cut out little C's out of the cucumber. C is for cucumber for the letter C, or I cut out little D shapes. I didn't have foods that start with a D. I just cut out little D shapes in some of her foods, and things like that. And grapes. So they're doing G. Okay, well, let's get some grapes, and she could have grapes that for one of her snack days that week. It's just I just love doing that. It's always been something that is just such a joy for me. So to be able to actually be part of my kids' education is so important. And when you have other younger kids at home, it is difficult for you to be able to go to the school and actually volunteer. Like, I would have loved to volunteer at our school and help out. Would have just made my day. I would have loved it. But I can't do that when I have the kids and I don't have anybody to watch them. So that was another big reason why I decided to homeschool. Another one of my big reasons for homeschooling. I'll say this is my number 5. Another one of my big reasons for homeschooling is that I love spending time with my kids. Every year when school would start, I would stress out because my kids were going to be going to school for like 8 hours of the day. It seemed like it was just forever. 7 hours, 7 to 8 hours of the day when you include the busing. And I would get almost depressed by it. Oh no, school is starting. School is starting. I have to go to school. And it would just bring me down. I had this sense of almost dread that they were leaving to go to school for 7 to 8 hours of the day. And I know a lot of people like that because they get to take a break. But for me, it was just depressing. I didn't like it. I didn't want them to be gone for that long. And my son was in kindergarten the last year that we had public school, and the idea of him also being gone for that 7 hours it just gnawed on me. I did not like it. So I decided last summer that I was gonna start homeschooling, and I told the kids, if this is something that you like, then we can keep doing it. If we try it this year and you guys really don't like it and you want to go back to public school, we'll make it work. You'll be able to go to public school. I'm not going to force you one way or the other, but I really wanted to try it. And my son was right on board. My daughter was reluctant. But after a few months, she said too, she really liked homeschooling. And I asked them this year, I said, do you want to do homeschooling again this year? And they both said yes, resounding yes. There was no doubts in their mind. They wanted to homeschool again this year. So I feel like, I know quite often people say the first year is the hardest. And yeah, it was not without its trials. But I enjoyed it, and the kids enjoyed it, and I'm sure we're going to enjoy this year too. We'll have our trials and tribulations as well, but I'm sure we'll enjoy it. My biggest concerns right now, I'm trying to get myself better organized, because last year I just mostly tried doing everything week by week, which I want to do again, but I want to have a little bit more of an organization week by week. I want to have more of a daily organization, so we'll see how it goes. But anyways, I have other reasons that I decided to homeschool. My husband and I both have other reasons for wanting to homeschool, but those are my top 5 reasons for really wanting to homeschool. Those were the things that really pushed me into saying, okay, we're going to give this a try, mostly because I miss my kids so much when they're at school. I guess it's not a bad thing to have. But yeah, so yeah, those are my 5 reasons, top 5 reasons for wanting to homeschool. Anyway, that's all for me. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a blessed day.